Greetings, salutations. Robert Vinson Brannum is the name of my birth certificate. Question for you, Mr. Attorney General. One of your slides indicated that one of the purposes of your office is to defend the city and to be the government's law firm. How do you marry that position and that view, that mission, when there are allegations of sexual harassment against senior government officials, complaints and lawsuits of racial discrimination and age discrimination by government agency heads? How do you put yourself in a position of saying that you defend the government against those allegations, but yet you want to be of service to the people of the District of Columbia, particularly, and also the employees of the District of Columbia, particularly when another agency of the District of Columbia reviews the complaints and has substantiated those allegations? How do you defend those agencies when another agency that is responsible for reviewing said that the agency was in violation? How do you defend the city against those allegations?
You know, the question you pose, there you are, good. The question you pose is the hardest question I have as the Attorney General, because there is a built-in conflict of interest in the statute that exists, because most of the time the interests of the District of Columbia and the interests of the residents of the District of Columbia do not clash with one another. And so there's no problem advancing the public interest and the interests of the residents and protecting taxpayer dollars and giving advice to the government. But what you describe is oftentimes the hardest work we've got. And all I can tell you is we try to do our best in exercising our judgment on how do we do both of those responsibilities. Now, as good lawyers, we are in an attorney-client relationship with our clients. So sometimes agencies in the District of Columbia, populated by human beings who are fallible, make mistakes. And part of your job as an attorney, even if you're defending them, is to get them to acknowledge, to resolve, to do better, both with respect to a particular case and going forward. We don't have complete autonomy to tell the agencies and the mayor what to do on things, and sometimes we're in a situation where we are defending. Sometimes allegations are made and are not substantiated. Sometimes there are allegations that are made that are substantiated, but a plaintiff might ask for a lot of money and the damages may not be worth what's being asked for. Part of the way I look at it is I've got a job to protect the taxpayers of the money and to make sure that we're not giving dollars away for people who are not entitled to those dollars. The rest of the city is deserved of a lawyer that's protecting their interests. But when we do have those cases where we know wrong has happened, we try to counsel our agency clients to make right, to do right, to go better, to do better going forward. There are those rare occasions where we feel like we're in a conflict situation where we can't represent our agency client and where we will withdraw and make clear that we can't do that, and that happens very rarely. My hope is we minimize when that happens, but there are occasions when that has happened, and there probably will be times going forward. I want the people to recognize that we have an obligation to do the defense work for the city, even when we know that our client is not always blameless in certain situations. We will not defend cases and litigate cases for which there's no good faith, factual or legal basis to do it. We're going to honor our ethical obligations to do that. Now, there can be a reasonable disagreement between people on points of view, and disagreement is part of the job. So we accept that sometimes we'll have to disagree without being disagreeable with one another about the issues in a case. But that's the answer to your question. Is that is the hardest balance we have to do in the office, is managing that conflict. Mr. Barber, thank you of the city, but you are to advance the public interest. The statute doesn't define what that means, but what it's come to be known as is protecting the environment, protecting housing, protecting tenants, protecting seniors, standing up for people who are being taken advantage of by aggressively enforcing our consumer protection and our anti-discrimination laws. And so our office is doing that every day in a variety of different ways. And those are the three legs of the stool: the law work, the prosecution of juvenile crime, and advancing the public interest. I referred to this a little bit. This is one of the important things that I hope people will understand. I think most people do.